We all know that ReviewTech USA is scum and has had what is coming to him coming for a long time. Okay, he's been doing this kind of thing for over a decade, right? Probably since the inception of his YouTube channel, right? This guy is a complete and total train wreck. Always has been, and people have been pointing this out, but the downfall recently has been unprecedented. And of course, there's a lot of attention focused on him right now. And people are blaming the drugs, the degeneracy, like his general behavior, him as a personality. What people aren't addressing is how his behavior correlates with his positions when it comes to the gaming space. ReviewTech USA is an individual who has openly advocated for the PC master race in spite of buying every single gaming platform and obscure emulation device known to man. He is someone who is an advocate for game piracy, which he refers to as emulation, right? Game preservation is the way that these people is the buzzword these people use for it. He's been a big advocate for pirating Nintendo games and keeping them like secured in like some some weirdo can just download them and play them online, right? He is a big shill for that. He really, really hates how Nintendo has been taking down Nintendo emulators. He is a big critic of that. And finally, he is someone who is a huge, huge advocate for the Steam Deck. I pointed this out on my channel. This is one of those things that like I noticed but nobody else pointed out. ReviewTech USA seriously made a statement saying that the Steam Deck was the most important tech innovation since the iPhone. He really came out and made that comparison. Some stupid Switch knockoff, like a Steam OS thing, is as successful, it is as culturally relevant as the iPhone, something that literally everyone has. He's completely out of touch with reality. He has no idea about tech. He has no idea about how successful it is. Like he doesn't know anything. Like anybody who seriously makes these kind of statements is just completely insane and delusional. But to me, this is a really obvious sign at just how out of touch the PC master race really is, right? Because Steam Deck, let's be real here, has sold less than Wii U. Okay, it has been a complete and utter train wreck, right? Nobody buys one, nobody plays them, nobody talks about them at all, unless it's the downplay Nintendo consoles. And this is the big thing about the PC master race right now that I keep bringing up over and over again on this channel is that they aren't that invested in video games. They're not playing like new and interesting things on PC. They're not playing like obscure indie games on Steam. They're not like playing every new AAA game that comes out. Like all they do is brag about their systems and how they can like allegedly pirate everything, but they don't seem to really know anything about the games themselves, right? ReviewTech USA has admitted this several times, like, oh, I haven't played Zelda ever. Insane to me. When you look at like his critique of Nintendo Directs, right? Like, oh, nobody cares about Splatoon. Nobody plays Fire Emblem. Like, this is all completely like delusional, insane copes. Okay, like again, you see this a lot when it comes to like PC gamers, where they do this thing where they try and pretend Nintendo's relevant only because of Mario and Zelda, as if like other franchises don't have fans of their own, right? They do this every single time where they just make some wild claim like saying Baldur's Gate 3 outsold Tears of the Kingdom, right? They make this wild claim, they call Baldur's Gate 3 Game of the Year. They illicitly granted all this awards. They create this illusion this game is super popular and talked about. And then like we actually people actually play the games. These are all like 100-hour long RPGs, so they're not just going to be breezed through. People actually play the games. People play both, and every single time Zelda comes out on top. It happened with Elden Ring, it happened with Baldur's Gate, it happened with Skyrim, right? It happened with The Witcher 3. Like, the PC Master Race kind of lives in this bubble where they're simply unwilling to admit that Nintendo is genuinely popular. And if they do this weird thing where they try and imply it's only because of nostalgia and because of like Nintendo's established IPs. It isn't because their games are good, right? It isn't because people actually like playing their games. It's like, oh, it's because these games have been around forever. Never mind the success of Splatoon, which isn't even a decade old yet. We're at that weird point now where people are seriously trying to write off Splatoon as not being a new IP. They're trying to say that, like, even though it became phenomenally successful, even though that like it's one of Nintendo's most profitable brands now, it's one of the series featured on Alarmo, right? Like, it's huge for Nintendo, a huge success. Every single time we see something Splatoon related get announced, like, oh, I don't care about that. Nobody cares about that. This is America. Splatoon's only big in Japan. Like, every single time they do this, right? Like, there's no consideration for like the fans of the brand or people who like playing Nintendo hardware, right? It's always just this obsessive compulsive need to defend PC gaming at all costs, right? Never. There are plenty of games that like sold more than Baldur's Gate 3 that are more popular than Baldur's Gate 3, but like because that was like such a big PC game, like the game they were shilling at the time, like, oh, Baldur's Gate 3 is the best game ever made. Like, it's just completely delusional, right? It's out of touch. Exactly like ReviewTechUSA. Again, like the people who are up and coming gaming YouTubers now, the people who are making like gaming PC videos and like making commentary videos on this channel, they're all making the same mistakes that ReviewTechUSA did. They're not talking about video games. They're only talking about controversies related to video games. They're attacking fans of other brands, right? And they're not really having fulfilling lives or careers. Again, this is, I think, an example of what the typical PC gamer life cycle looks like. The kind of person who just obsessively sits in front of a gaming PC, trying to gaslight people on message boards about how much fun they're having emulating other people's games when in reality they don't play anything at all. Like, again, we know this about ReviewTechUSA. This has been proven that like people were able to like get into his Steam account and look at what he was playing, and he doesn't play anything. This was your guy. This was the guy you were trusting. You were watching to tell you about technology. This was the guy who was downplaying Nintendo, who was propping up the Steam Deck, who was worshiping Elden Ring, right? This is what the average PC gamer is like. All of them are just like ReviewTechUSA. They're fat. They're balding. They're addicted on drugs. They don't work. They don't do anything, right? They harass underage girls through all these weird technological mumbo jumbo way. Like, I don't know what ReviewTechUSA did. He had like a Dropbox that was secret that like had his wife's kids on it, like, well, ex-wife's kids on it. Like, it's like I don't know anything about this because it's so degenerate, but like, this is the average PC gamer. Someone who is just like a bitter, toxic person who cannot accept that Nintendo is superior. That's all this comes down to, right? Like everything else when it comes to ReviewTechUSA, his history of blistered thumbs, the big cheese thing, like all of that pales in comparison to like what he is at his core, in that he is a perfect stereotype of what an average PC gamer is like.